Good evening and welcome to Tinkering with Atkelar. After quite a few weeks of work and many bleeps, it is finally done. My tractor is running again. But after looking through all the interesting video footage, picking the nice shots, speeding things up, I ended up with about 40 minutes worth of video. Yikes! While I don't have a preset duration, I really like to keep my videos in the below 20 minutes range. This is why I chose to split the assembly part in two. Don't worry, the final part can't be far behind this one, as it is already almost done too. Let's start by rebuilding something. The roller blind for the radiator was disintegrating. While the spring and fixtures were okay, the fabric was pretty much gone. I removed what was left, rust converted and painted the fixtures, followed by new material from window blinds that I found in the sales bin of my hardware store. The first things to go back on the tractor are the gaskets between the hood and the cabin. Easy when the hood is nowhere around. The dashboard was next. Now that it's back in place, I can also add the wiring. Speaking of which, yeah, that old wiring won't quite do. Replacing the old copper was high on my list for some time, and with free access to the dash, what better time to do than now? The new fuse box I got was smaller than the original and needed an adapter. OpenSCAD and 3D printer to the rescue! After lots of measuring, ticking off wires on the schematic and crimping, I ended up with an almost not at all tangled wire loom. First, let's hook up a power supply to test the control lamps. All good. Also, testing the horn with a continuity tester to protect the neighbors. Well, it beeps. The cables for the indicator and position lights are routed through open ducts under the rear fenders. They accumulated quite a bit of dirt over time, which cemented them in. I think the tangle can be solved by throwing some cable ties at it. Whoops. Let's see. Have another try. There we go. All nice and secure now. The Viper got a test with the new wiring too. I also took apart and inspected the oil pump. Like many other components, it's borderline used up, but with only a few hours per year, I don't see a reason to replace it just yet. Now it's time for the big stuff, the engine. I started by giving everything a good clean, including the oil channels. The compressed air did indeed push out a few shavings. The camshaft goes in first, as it is easier to handle when nothing is blocking access. I put in the new bearings, taking into account the position of the oil channels and keys. That includes the thrust bearings. The crankshaft can now be lowered in again, on a bed of oil of course. Counterweights for the third cylinder and the main bearing mounts require a specific torque. Time to put those new wrenches to the test. Click! Here the piston gets their new rings and the new piston is fixed to its connecting rod. I don't dare to flip the engine around and work from above, as the engine stand is rather cheap and already bending. So I defy gravity and push the pistons in from below. The string is there to prevent any accidents, like dropping a piston on the floor. The connecting rods also require a specific torque. Click! And now the lower frame can be bolted onto the engine block. It requires some silicone seal. The original used a paper gasket, but the service manual calls for silicone instead. Suits me. Getting there. The oil lines are next, followed by the oil pan, again with ample silicone. The crankshaft requires some special seals. I was able to push them into their carriers with my small press. Now is the time that I have to put the engine down again. But now it has the pan on it and won't sit flat. Time to construct an engine stand. The clutch housing is next, complete with way too many screws. And now the flywheel. Yoti guessed it shouldn't be more than about 25 kilograms. Well, according to my scales, it's actually 45 kilograms. Quite a task to get that onto the crankshaft. For the bolts, again, click. Here we have the clutch disc. Note that I double and triple checked which way around it goes in. This will be important later on. I don't have a proper alignment pin, so I 3D printed an improvised one. The starter would be the next part. And now it's time to reconnect the engine to the gearbox. Quite a bit of cursing and sweating later, I finally had it. All screws are in, and the engine turns over. Woohoo! To ease my mind, I wanted to get the tractor off the wonky stand and back on something more proper ASAP. I started to fit the front axle next to put it on two stands instead of the single one in the middle. Much more stable. The axle itself was not all that easy to mount. While the pin went in fine, the shim required did not want to cooperate and took some creative use of force and levers. Now that I am reasonably sure that no changes are required at the dashboard, I add the fuel tank. resorted to build my own lock washer for the crankshaft pulley. The original one broke when I took it off, and for some reason there is no replacement available. Yikes, that drill has some drift. The pulley is supposed to take more torque than my wrenches can handle, so I improvised. Click! Oh, that was my spine. And this is about the halfway point of the assembly. The lower part of the engine is done and mounted, and the electrical stuff is all wired up, except for the few wires that connect to the engine. This is a perfect point to end part 3. I hope you enjoyed this one. See you next time for the conclusion of the 2020 tractor series. Quite a task to get that onto the flywheel. Get the flywheel on the flywheel. Flywheel on flywheel action.